everybody. Welcome to Educating Earthlings, the podcast. We are back with, more episodes. This is going to be part one of a 4-part series of kind of like getting to know your host. Hi, I'm Lexi. And going through my kind of stages of how I got to where I am today, like spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, like where I'm living and like my apartment and like just the life that I've manifested for myself. So at the beginning of each episode, I am doing a card pull for you guys. And in this 4-part series, we are going to be pulling from the I Ching deck. This is my newest deck. And instead of reading what's on the guidebook in here, we are going to read the corresponding gate in the human design book. Oh, we got one. We got one. Oh, here, it's this way. I was looking at it upside down. It's gate, it's hexagram number 46, which is going to correlate with gate 46 in human design, in your human design chart. Okay, so maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's take like a few steps back, and I want everybody listening, if you're capable right now, to pull up your human design chart, and then you'll be able to see whether or not you have this gate activated. Because this is going to make more sense if we do this first. So go to mybodygraph.com and type in all of your birth information. It'll ask you to make an account. It's free, just to get your information. So go ahead and make an account and come back to the episode when you have put all of your birth information in, and get the time like exactly as accurate as you can get it, because sometimes like from 1 minute to the next, minor changes will happen to your chart, like where the planets are, like what gates the planets are activating, and each gate will then activate like other parts of your chart. So just make sure that your birth time is as accurate as possible. And then when you're ready, you can come back. But I am going to go ahead and look up gate 46. It's really interesting that I pulled hexagram number 46 in the I Ching deck. That correlates with gate 46, the gate of determination of the self. And this one is actually all about like what I was just talking about / thinking about / writing about on my walk earlier today. Open sacral beings need to be out in the energy of the collective, like being outside around people. Even though our initial kind of like comfort is to retreat and like get that energy out of us, we literally need to feel it though in order to share our gifts. So for like open sacral beings like projectors, our gift is to see how like systems work, and we can really only do that if we absorb the collective energy, to be able to see like what little things can be changed for like success, or to see more progress, or whatever the case is. For manifestors, the only way that you're going to be a manifester is if you're sharing your ideas and your plans with people. So again, being outside in the energy of the collective. And then also reflectors, you're literally here to show us the state of the world, and to translate what the energy is here on Earth, or in your environment. So if you're not, if your environment is just yourself, you won't be able to translate that to the rest of us and like open up our eyes to what's actually going on in the world. So yeah, get outside, Um, and that was like the whole point of my thought. But it's interesting that gate 46 kind of correlates with this. And I love that because it's literally the energy of the now, which is Oracle, which is the I Ching is literally the original Oracle. Yeah, so I'm just kind of like geeking out about that right now. Basically, if you have the center, like just allow yourself to absorb the energy that's around you, and you'll know what to do next, basically. So yeah, I just wanted to look up what it was saying in the I Ching book as well that came with the cards. And for 46, they use the word ascension, and this will correlate with the I Ching hexagrams. If you're at all confused about this whole like human design thing, make sure that you go and follow me on Instagram at Earthling Lex, Lex, Earthling Lex. And then you can follow the podcast account too, Educating Earthlings. But I talk a lot about just like the energy of human design. And yeah, but I'm creating a like platform where I'll be able to help people kind of understand human design on a deeper level. Sometimes when I just like talk about it in the past, when I've just like spewed information and talked about human design, it's cool and all, but it's a lot more beneficial for me and for the people digesting the information to be like conversing in the moment. So yeah, I am teaching like a few little workshops on human design if you're in the local LA area. Again, follow me on Instagram, and that's where I'll like be posting when we're doing the workshops and things like that. And then I'll also do some online as well if you're not in the LA area. And those are going to be super fun. Keep an eye out for that. And we'll dive a lot deeper into like what all of this means. So if you're interested, that's where that's going to be. The I Ching is definitely going to be a topic in one of those workshops. But yeah, it was just kind of saying the same thing about self-determination and discipline. Consistency, I think, is another key thing that kind of came up in the previous card reading that I did in episode 0. All right, let's get right into the juiciness of this episode. This is something that I had recorded in the past, and it's about my first like spiritual awakening. I'm putting that in air quotes because that term I think is maybe overused now in 2023. But truly, like, I think I did start changing when I was very intentional about what I was putting in my body. I'm not vegan anymore, but I was vegan for like 6 years maybe. And I still eat like primarily plant-based. Also being more aware of what like our healthcare system pushes, like the low-key agenda that they have. And I say low-key because I'm just like not 100% sure. It might be like a high-key agenda that they have of like muting and dulling natural raw feminine energy by putting a bunch of people on hormonal birth control when they're very young, basically like just hitting puberty and like getting their period, and then they're like, oh, here we go, let's like, you know, manage this, again in air quotes, because like instead of just numbing and like dulling out this magical raw power that like the womb has, yeah, we should be honoring it and learning about it and educating people on it, rather than just turning it off, because that's what hormonal birth control will do. But yeah, let's dive into it. This was recorded back in 2019, and you can kind of hear again like the slight difference in my voice. I feel like now I'm speaking so much more from my soul than I used to be. And I will see you guys on the other side. I'll pop in again before we wrap up this episode. Okay, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy.
Okay, so bear with me here. I do have a little bit of like allergies or a cold going on right now. So sorry if I'm a little sniffly or like my throat sounds funny, but I'm excited to talk to you guys today about my hormonal birth control journey and how that kind of has led to my whole spiritual awakening. So in episode 1, I kind of went in briefly about everything that happened, like with my journey of like going vegan and then getting off the hormonal birth control and then finding human design and everything like that. So those are my top 3 passions: is veganism, balancing your hormones naturally and getting off that hormonal birth control pill, and then also human design. So today I wanted to talk a little bit more about my hormonal birth control journey. So I was on, let's start kind of like from the beginning when I first started. I originally got on the pill because I was sexually active, didn't want to get pregnant. I was like in high school or whatever. So I went to Planned Parenthood and they just like gave me some, they just like shoved some across the table. They're like, here you go. Here's according to like your body weight and all that stuff. Like this is going to be the right for you, blah, blah, blah. And it was great. Never really had any problems with it. I know I've heard of women like gaining weight, losing weight, tons of crazy stuff happening. Like people get on hormonal birth control for acne, to help their flow become less heavy or less cramping, everything like that. And those are all like menstrual symptoms or symptoms of that your body's telling you that there's something off balance in your hormones. So instead of just covering that up with a Band-Aid and like getting on hormonal birth control, what we should be doing is looking into those symptoms and finding out what we can do, what we can change in our life or our lifestyle or our diet or whatever to balance our hormones more naturally. So yeah, I was on the pill for a while. I didn't get on it for any specific reason besides just not getting pregnant. And I never had a problem with it. My period was always super light before, so it kind of stayed the same. And I was on it for a long time. And the one thing that I did notice when I got on it is that I was kind of like more social and like less anxious around new people, which was cool. I was fine with it, whatever. I took it for probably 11 years. I think it was that long. It was about 11 years I was on the pill, maybe closer to 10 years. But yeah, so I was on the pill for 10 years, and finally something clicked after I went vegan. I don't want to be on all of these artificial hormones and this and that. And like, I read a blog post by someone who's actually going to be coming on the podcast shortly. Her name is Shannon, and she runs the Glowing Fridge blog, and she got into hormonal balancing and balancing your hormones naturally and everything like that. So I followed her blog, and she was actually the reason why I went vegan in the first place. When I found her blog, and I did her little 7-day or 5-day like going vegan detox cleanse or whatever. And after that, I have been vegan ever since. So shout out to Shannon, Glowing Fridge. She's going to be on the podcast shortly. But yeah, so she started talking a lot about how hormonal birth control is like not good for you. And I looked into it myself and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. This is crazy. Why am I even taking these artificial hormones? I don't even need to balance my hormones. Like I didn't have any other symptoms really. And now after, I'll get into this later, but after I got off the pill, like some symptoms did come back, and I'm still kind of detoxing and trying to recover from being on the pill for so long. But anyways, so I looked into it and I was like, yeah, I need to just get off this. So I looked into cycle syncing. Cycle, oh my gosh, I've looked into cycle syncing, and I got everything that I needed for seed cycling, different types of foods for different stages of your cycle, and different workouts for different stages of your cycle, everything like that. So I was ready to go. I learned a lot of this through Shannon from the Glowing Fridge and also through reading the book Woman Code. And yeah, so I learned a lot and I was ready to do it. I just finished off the month that I was on, and I never renewed my prescription. I told my doctor that I was coming off, and the surprising thing is that they wanted me to schedule an appointment, make sure everything was fine, and like they wanted me to get on some other form of hormonal birth control, like an IUD or like get a shot or all of this, like a NuvaRing, all of this other hormonal different ways to take hormonal birth control. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this to my body anymore. I'm going to do things naturally. Bye, basically. So after talking to the doctor, I got a little bit more like nervous, I guess, to get off the pill. Like, what's going to happen to my body? I've been on it for so long. And honestly, my journey was a lot less physical and a lot more spiritual than anything else. So for me, the only physical things, the only physical changes that happened to me coming off of the hormonal birth control pill is that I started breaking out a little bit of hormonal acne, like around my jawline, kind of like on my cheekbones and like underneath my chin, like kind of where your neck meets your jawline, chin under there. So yeah, and I've never really had an issue with, I mean, I've been on it since I hit puberty basically, which is a long time. So I never really had issues with acne until after I got off the pill. And that's really the only thing. I'm so grateful for my genetics, I guess, with all of this stuff. So, but the main thing that happened was more of a spiritual awakening. And I mentioned earlier in this episode that I experienced a lot less social anxiety from after I got on the birth control pill. So, coming off of the birth control pill, I experienced a lot more social anxiety. And for me, it was like not wanting to like go out as much anymore. Like I just kind of became more of a homebody, and I became a lot more in tune with my emotions. I guess that's like a nice way of putting it. My partner at the time would have said I just got really emotional, but I became more in tune with my emotions, I guess is a better way of saying it. And all of these feelings didn't start like right away. It was very gradual, and I almost didn't notice it until it was like really extreme. Probably 6 months to 8 months after I got off of the hormonal birth control is when I started noticing all of these kind of like higher anxiety symptoms, or just like feeling my emotions more and all of that stuff. So I know that hormones play a huge part in what we feel and how we act and our outlook on things, our mood, our mental health. And it's just so important to make sure that you're in tune with your own hormones and your own emotions and all of that stuff. So after I realized that, like, okay, I have all of these feelings now, I need to kind of like go figure some of this stuff out. And what was happening was really strange. And I actually made the connection a lot later. But basically, what happens when you take hormonal birth control is that your like whole nature of yourself shifts into this like fake, sterile, like robotic kind of um way of life. And what was happening for me is that I my like attraction changed, and I was with my partner for the whole time I was on the pill. So like 10 years I was with my partner, and um I found myself like not attracted to him anymore. And it was just like the strangest thing because I never ever thought in my life that this would happen. And um so I read a blog post by the same author of The Woman Code, that book that I mentioned earlier. And she was talking about the the changes your body goes through when you're on the pill. So when you're on the pill, you are attracted to like your opposite kind of, and this is not for everyone. This is just kind of like how each individual person can take it. And for me, this was true. So I'm not saying that like if you're on the pill right now and you're in a relationship, or you're taking a hormonal birth control and you're in a relationship, that you might want to like get off hormonal birth control and see if you actually still love this person, or like are attracted to this person, all this stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this is my personal experience. And um, I found that this side effect of the birth control pill really applied to my life in a huge way. So after coming off the pill, I was like, what's going on? I feel so much different than I used to. And I feel like I need to like talk to somebody. And I feel like I want to go to couples therapy and figure everything out. Like, what's going on? I don't know what to do. And it was a lot of internal battle with myself as well. Like, am I good enough? Am I worthy? Am I like, is it okay for me to even be feeling these things? I just felt like very um like undervalued and like underappreciated in a lot of areas of my life. And I know that it was stemming from this hormonal birth control detox. So, anyways, what this blog post said is that basically you're attracted to the opposite of what you're normally attracted to. And it was the quote was, you're attracted to Mr. Wrong, basically. And once you come off the hormonal birth control, then you all of your regular hormones, your natural hormones that are yours, not fake, artificially pumped into your system, they come back, and you start feeling different things, a lot of different things. So one of my theories is that since all of, now this is kind of like a sidetrack theory. So since all of basically every woman that lives on in America, they kind of get shoved hormonal birth control in their face right when they hit puberty. They're like, "Oh, you have cramps. Here you go. Take this hormonal birth control pill, and you'll be fine." Um, Almost everyone that I know has either been on hormonal birth control or is still on hormonal birth control. And okay, so my theory. I kind of talk in circles sometimes. I hope you guys are following everything and enjoying this conversation. Okay, so my theory is that since so many women are on hormonal birth control, when they get married and decide to have kids and come off of the pill, they look at their life around them and they say like, wow, this is not anything, and I don't feel the same as, this is not anything of what I thought my life was like, and I don't feel the same as I used to. Like everything's changed. I don't know why I'm here. It's almost like you had a mask on your whole life, or your whole life on the pill, and then when you take it off, you're like, wait a minute, this is not what I want anymore. And it's so hard to explain because to me it's like a lot of people out there would just blame it on like women being women. Like a very sexist way of putting it, like, oh, you're just being emotional, you're just being an emotional woman, or you're just, so I found myself telling myself all of those things. Like I found myself telling myself that Lexi, you're just being emotional. Stop trying to make everything about you, blah, blah. Like, I found myself putting sexist comments towards myself. And I was like, this isn't right. I need to go talk to somebody or whatever. So I ended up going to talk therapy, and I actually recorded an episode with another one of my friends, and we talk a lot about talk therapy and like my journey and her journey through talk therapy and how amazing it is. It's definitely something everyone should try, even if you go for it just for a little bit. It's just such a great way to connect with yourself, and maybe your partner, even if you go to a couples therapy. So, anyways, I wanted to go to couples therapy. And I was like, I don't know what's going on with my life. I don't know what's going on with myself. I don't know what's going on with my relationship. I just need some answers, and I just need to like get clarity. So basically, I ended up going by myself to therapy, um, and I learned a lot about myself during that time. It was almost like I was getting to know myself again after coming off of hormonal birth control. And yeah, it was just a really great support through my talk therapist. And I would definitely recommend going to a talk therapist if you're ever in a situation where you're feeling uncomfortable, or your life just isn't what you think it is anymore. Oh, I just had a little coconut water break. My throat's getting really dry just from talking to you guys today. Bear with me here. Okay, so we just kind of talked about my whole journey of detoxing from the pill, and how it can be very different from just being like physical things like adrenal fatigue. I was and still am fighting adrenal fatigue from coming off of the hormonal birth control pill. But adrenal fatigue is a big one. Hormonal acne is a big one. Your metabolism can change drastically because of your hormones. So weight gain, weight loss, as well as kind of like your skin, hair, nails. So a lot of women might experience like hair thinning or thicker hair, or dry skin, oily skin, everything of what everything that your body like does naturally happens because of your cycle and because of your hormones. So much can change, and it's so much more than just that physical level, especially for my specific detox journey. It was so spiritual and so emotional for me. And I'm still kind of healing from everything that, and like life, I guess, healing from life, if that's valid, if that's a thing. And yeah, it's been a journey. Okay, so I want to mention what I'm doing now for contraception, versus taking a hormonal birth control. Because as I mentioned at the beginning, the only reason why I got birth control was purely for contraception, so I didn't get pregnant. And now that I'm not taking it anymore, I was kind of concerned about, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to use condoms? Condoms are only, like 50% effective because of how we use them and how they're made and all of that stuff. Plus, condoms are a huge waste, and I don't want to keep using like, a bunch of garbage. So, one thing that I decided to purchase is a basal thermometer, and in a program called Natural Cycles. And this is not sponsored by Natural Cycles or anything like that, but I do have a referral code, that will help you get a discount on and a free thermometer, and then it will also help me get a free subscription. Once I get so many referrals, I'll get a free subscription to Natural Cycles. So that's the only way, disclosure, it's the only way it's helping me. I'm not getting sponsored by Natural Cycles or anything like that to talk about this. But I looked up a lot of different kind of like natural cycle tracking devices to tell you when you're ovulating, when you're fertile, when you can't get pregnant, because there's only a certain window during your cycle where you can actually get pregnant, and the rest of the days you can't. Your body is not available for you to like get pregnant even. So I did a lot of research on, there's like a couple different ones. Daisy's another one, but their thermometer was a lot more expensive. So I decided to go with Natural Cycles. But I got their basal thermometer and their app, and I subscribed to a year's like worth of, entering my data using the app and everything. And the cool thing about it is that you learn a lot about your cycle and a lot about the hormones, like what's going on in your body during your cycle. So it kind of like gives you little tips of like, oh, today you're going to be feeling like this, or your ovulation's coming up, so you might be feeling this way, or stuff like that. Side note, another good app is the My Flow app or Flow Living app. It's created by the same woman who wrote the Woman Code. And so they give you a little bit of tidbits of like what to eat, how to exercise, how your brain might be functioning during different stages of your cycle, which is also really helpful. So note that. That app is called Flow Living or My Flow. I'll put it in the show notes so you guys can link to that, as well as Natural Cycles. You can link to my referral code as well, so you can get your free basal thermometer and all that stuff. But basically, all you have to do is take your temperature every morning, put it into the app, and it'll tell you if it's a green day or if it's a red day. And a green day means that you can't get pregnant. A red day means you can get pregnant. So it's super easy to know. The more data you enter, the more accurate it gets. So the more green days you get. And again, this is not sponsored, and it also does not protect against STDs. It's purely for contraception. So be, careful in other aspects of your life. Another disclosure, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you to get off the hormonal birth control. Don't get pregnant because of me. All that stuff. Just a health coach, and I have a passion for helping people feel their best. And so that's what I use for contraception now. And I hope you guys liked this episode. It was fun just kind of chatting with you guys about my journey and like what I've been through and everything like that. If you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out. I would love to chat. I would love to talk to you guys. And definitely reach out if you have any questions or if you are going through something similar and just need support. And I can't wait for next week's episode. I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a high vibe rest of your week. What's up, guys? Thank you for listening to this episode. It's always fun to kind of like take a little look back into the past. So thank you for doing this with me. And get ready for next episode, which is part 2 of my spiritual awakening, in air quotes. Just a reminder before we wrap it up, make sure to go follow Educating Earthlings on Instagram. And then Earthling Lex is my main page. We post about human design and other fun energetics of the universe and the field, and like the energetic field and just how things work. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.